playoffs with the Milwaukee Bucks, but not anymore because the association mode file got corrupted. So I had to resim the entire season and force trade the exact same trades we made throughout the season, and now we aren't in the playoffs and are starting the offseason instead. The Lakers would win the championship in year one over the Celtics, and our three young centerpieces in Andrew Bogut, Brandon Jennings, and rookie Larry Sanders all saw solid development this year. We also had some extra staff salary, so we would bring on a second scout for next year. Brandon Jennings and Carlos Delfino both had team options that we would happily pick up for them, and Michael Redd would be the only expiring contract on the team that we would renew. We were projected to have the 12th pick and then the 4th pick from the Toronto trade last season, and that is exactly where we would end up in draft order, as it was time to see who we would select with those picks. At pick 4, we would choose Dante Wooden, a shooting guard that specialized in an outside shot, and pick 12 would be Lonnie Roberts, a stretch 4 who could shoot as well and would open up the paint hopefully for Andrew Bogut more. And thankfully these prospects were both the highest rated on the board at the time that we picked them. We weren't looking to make a big splash this year in free agency, as we'd signed back Mbah a Moute on a 4-year $11.5 million deal as a restricted free agent, and then would go after Tyson Chandler as our backup center and would sign him to a 2-year $4 million deal as well, as this is what our rotation was looking like headed into year 2 of the rebuild. This was supposed to be game 1 of season number 2, but it's actually our 4th game of the season. I accidentally recorded this over the footage of our season opener against Chris Paul and the New Orleans Hornets, but we ended up defeating them for the 2nd year in a row to start our season off with a win. We were sitting at 2-2 headed into this matchup against the Timberwolves at home tonight, and I have to say that I've been pretty impressed with how this team has been looking so far. We are one of the youngest teams in the league at this point with our 2 new rookies, but they have both been playing very solid in their first few NBA games. So I think all this team needs is some time to gel together and build up some team chemistry with each other, and I think we might actually have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs this year. I know technically we made it into the playoffs last season, but didn't after the resim of season 1 with the same roster. So for the sake of the series, I'm going to say that we did not make the playoffs in season number 1, and that it will be very impressive if we manage to take this team to the playoffs in just the 2nd season controlling them. Remember, we only have 6 seasons to win the championship in this series, so we don't have a lot of time to sit around and wait for player development. That's why I threw both rookies into the starting lineup this year over some older veterans who were rated higher overall than them, as Dante Wooden and Lonnie Roberts need as much time as possible playing so they can develop as fast as they can this season. And with 2 rookies under 70 overall in our starting rotation, we weren't off to a bad start all things considered through 7 games. Dante was averaging almost 10 points per game, but would like to see his assist numbers a little higher, and Lonnie was averaging 4.6 points per game, but those rebound numbers were still way too low for my liking. Andrew Bogut and Brandon Jennings were both off to a great start as expected to the season, and with both of them playing similar positions, I was really hoping they could be great mentors for our 2 young rookies this year. In turn, they might develop a thing or two from the rookies themselves as well. Lonnie Roberts has shown that he's a great stretch 4 and can shoot the ball well, and while I'm not expecting Andrew Bogut to develop a shot from beyond the arc at all in his career, it would be nice if the rookie would in turn help him develop a little more range in his jumper. So in turn, I think this will be a great symbiotic relationship between our 4 young core players of this team. We've also gotten a chance to see how they're stacking up against the other top rookies early on in the season, as they both outplayed number 1 pick Fernando Chavez and 3rd pick Lenny Drew on the Timberwolves last game, and now this game get to go up against the Nets lottery pick and shooting guard Yuri Gallagher, who's from Russia. So far, our rookies have been winning these battles against them, but we'll have to see if they can keep it up the rest of the season. Developing the 2 of them will be critical in any future success we see with this team, so here's to hoping they turn out to be a great pairing with Brandon Jennings and Andrew Bogut. This team was looking very solid against the New Jersey Nets tonight, but that's not really saying much as they're one of the worst teams in the league last season. On the bright side though, it's showing that we are handling teams we should beat easily, but what really stuck out to me in this win tonight, and that has been a major improvement upon last season, was our interior defense as we put up 10 blocks against the Nets tonight. This next game was going to be a lot tougher for us though, as we were taking on the top-seeded Boston Celtics. And even though their roster didn't look like a top team in the league on paper, we couldn't take them lightly as they've proven that they are clearly a top team in this league, as they made it all the way to the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers last season, but ended up losing that series in 5 games to Kobe and the Lakers. So they were definitely out for revenge this year, looking to get back to the finals, and we were a team that could possibly stand in their way. If anything, that was going to motivate them to play even tougher against us tonight. We opened up the game with a nice 9-point lead, but it wasn't going to be that easy to put away the Celtics. We would have to keep our foot on the gas pedal and keep knocking down shots like this if we wanted to keep our lead. Keon Dooling and Michael Redd were putting on an absolute duos masterclass out there in the 2nd quarter, and they would help us get to halftime with an 11-point lead over the Boston Celtics. The Celtics came out swinging in the 2nd half as they knew they had to cut this lead before the 4th quarter, but Brandon Jennings had been going shot for shot all night long, no problem with Rajon Rondo, and it was the rookie Dante Wooden who would hit this shot to keep our double-digit lead headed into into the fourth quarter. It was getting down to crunch time for the Celtics, and they still had no defensive answer to Michael Redd, as all they could try to do was go shot for shot with him on 3-pointers this quarter to limit the damage. Then Dante Wooden would come up with what might be the biggest shot for us this quarter, as he would drill the 3-pointer, and then it was the other rookie, Lonnie Roberts, who would knock down a 3 as well to keep our double-digit lead intact, as with the help of our 2 rookies late in the fourth, we would take down the top-seeded Boston Celtics on their home court. We would jump ahead a week and a half to our last game of November, as we were at 8-8, tied for the 8th spot in the conference with the Pacers. A win here against the Jazz would put us over 500 on the first month of the season, and I can't lie, I did not expect us to be this close to having a winning record. Granted, it is still only the first month of the season and things can change, but like I said, I think this team is showing a lot of potential early on this year. They definitely seem to want that winning record too, as they came out to play tonight, as we had a double-digit lead over the Jazz and it wasn't even halftime yet. Our defensive struggles though seem to have switched from last season, as we were defending the inside and paint a lot better than we were last year, but we're worse at defending the 3-point shot this season than last. Thankfully, our improvement in the shot behind the arc for us easily made up for that deficiency, and I'm just going to attribute that change to our team being young and still adjusting to the NBA speed. The Jazz were trying to close in on our lead here late in the fourth quarter, but to get that cushion back, all we had to do was go to Dante Wooden, who had started to become our go-to 3-point shooter. I love that the rookie is starting to find and fill in naturally to his specific role on the floor with this team, as we would win by 20 tonight and hopefully pick up some momentum with this great team effort. We were getting ready to start the month of December now, and we were sitting at 9-8. 1 month into the season, and Brandon Jennings was our leading scorer, and Andrew Bogut was almost averaging a double-double for us. Third overall pick Lenny Drew on the Timberwolves had taken over as the #1 rated rookie in the league right now, and our Dante Wooden was at number 4, and Lonnie Roberts was ranked number 7. We were hoping to start off December on a good note and hopefully continue the success we had started to see at the end of November with this team. We were taking on the Denver Nuggets, and they weren't quite the threat offensively that they were last season, as Carmelo Anthony had declined his player option this past offseason and signed a 4-year, $78 million deal with the Thunder. That didn't mean we couldn't take them any less seriously though, and they were showing us why tonight, as they were keeping up with us throughout the entire game so far and had been trading leads throughout the third quarter. They would end up scoring the last bucket of the third and take a 4-point lead headed into the final quarter, as both sides of the ball started to fall apart for us tonight in the fourth against the Nuggets. We could not hit a shot to save our lives and weren't able to cut back into their lead late in the game, and Denver would end up giving us a loss to start the month of December. We were back at home and needed to bounce back after that loss, and hopefully we would be able to do it against a weak Cavaliers team in our division. We would jump out to a 5-point lead over Cleveland to start the second quarter, but they would fight to stay in it and would get to the free throw line right before halftime, where Antoine Jamison would tie it up before headed into the locker room. The Cavs would strike first in the second half to take their first lead of the night over us, but Brandon Jennings would find his favorite target, Andrew Bogut, in the paint to take it right back for us, and we would hold on to that lead thankfully headed into the fourth quarter here at home. Rookie Lonnie Roberts would hit a huge step-back 3 to give us a double-digit lead over the Cavs, and the offense never looked back the rest of the night from that shot going forward, as we would get the 16-point victory over Cleveland here at home tonight. The following week, Keon Dooling would go down with an injury, so we would be calling up Kyle Korver off reserve to fill his spot for the next 2 to 4 weeks, as we got ready to play the last game of December with a chance to get to 2 games over 500. Our games against Chicago always had a thrilling point guard matchup going on every time we played, as both of our teams had who many considered to be 2 of the best young point guards in the league, and I'm sure this matchup between Derrick Rose and Brandon Jennings will lead to many more great matchups between the 2 of them down the road in this series. I might be a little biased, but I definitely thought Brandon Jennings was the better point guard of the 2, as he was showing off his elite shooting ability tonight against the Bulls and extending our lead over them to 9 points. He was also doing a great job of locking down D Rose tonight and forcing many turnovers that converted into easy chance points in transition for us, and paired that with his great court vision and ability to set up his teammates for easy looks at buckets and transition on the fast break, and it's not really a surprise that we walked away with a double-digit victory over the Bulls at the United Center tonight. We would head into 2012 with a 16-14 record, and we're sitting in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, while the Thunder held down the top spot in the West. Brandon Jennings was our team's leading scorer and passer so far, and no surprise that Bogut is leading us in rebound. Pair those 2 with Dante Wooden and Lonnie Roberts, who are both ranked as top 8 rookies in the league, and I think that'll give us an even better chance to start winning even more games here throughout the month of January and February next episode.